Hey guys, Nikki here. So today what I wanted to discuss with you is, okay, so I just got out of my psychology class. I am currently on my way home, and we talked about intellectual disabilities. My people with intellectual disabilities. My professor referred to them as mentally retarded because he's older, and that was the acceptable term back in the day. I don't fault him for that at all. I've had a bit, and I know that I'm just being overly sensitive. I know she didn't mean it in a bad way, and I'm prefacing that now. She probably didn't mean it in a bad way. It didn't sound like she meant it in a bad way. It just came off as really bad. So we were discussing about people who felt like people with intellectual disabilities should not have children because they didn't want the species to continue in that way. And then she said, when we were talking about intelligence and things of that nature, and she piped up and said, well, you never know, people who are like that could have an intelligent child. Now, my problem with that is I know what she meant, but my problem with that is people with disabilities have disabilities, but they also have some sort of intelligence. No one on this earth is useless. There is not one single person on this earth that was not put here for a reason, even if that's just to brighten someone's day. And honestly, there's not a person with special needs, I'm going to say special needs, or intellectual disabilities, because I don't like the phrase mental retardation. There's not a child with special needs or an adult with special needs that is not in some way, shape, or form important to the world. Whether it be to their parents, whether it be to their friends, whether it be to society as a whole, there's something that people with intellectual disabilities are useful for. And that sounds really weird saying it like that, but I feel like people demean others with intellectual disabilities when really you can't measure intelligence. Who's to say that I'm smarter than someone with intellectual disabilities when in reality they may be able to program a computer to do something and I can't do that. Just because I may be book smart doesn't mean that I have smarts in another area. You can't really measure intelligence. It's not measured on a test or a certain type of deal. It's not measured like that. You can't tell somebody that they're not intelligent because they can't do a math problem, or because they struggle to read, or because they can't speak at all, or because they are more severe than others. And I just have a real issue. I have a real issue with society as a whole, because they view these people as useless, and you cannot view a human being. If they are a living, breathing human being, animals, if they're living, you cannot view them as useless, because clearly they have some sort of purpose in this world. Criminals are the same way. They have some sort of purpose. They've just fallen off the bandwagon. Some people are really just crappy human beings. Like, not gonna lie, they're just crappy human beings. But every single person on this earth has a purpose. Now, I don't want to get into like the whole, well, what are the child molesters' purposes and what is all the... No, I don't want to get into all of that. I'm talking about people with mental disabilities. Basically, like, I hate it when people think that because they have an issue in their brain that means they're not smart, or they aren't intelligent in some way, shape, or form. Intelligence, to me personally, is so much more than whether or not you can pass a test or whether or not you do well in school. intelligence is common sense and book smarts and, you know, kinesthetic things and just different things like that. That's what intelligence is. Intelligence is something as a whole that cannot be measured, because if you tried to measure it, like, the smartest person in the world could also be the dumbest person in the world, because they have zero common sense. Like, if you really want to go there, like, I know more kids with intellectual disabilities that have more common sense than a regular ed student has. So just because somebody excels in something doesn't mean, and doesn't excel in other things, doesn't mean that they are not intelligent or that somebody is more intelligent than them. Are there some kids that excel further and better in certain areas? Absolutely. Are there kids that cannot read? Are there kids that cannot write? Are there kids that cannot do math? Absolutely. But you know what? They excel somewhere else. They're really good at somewhere else. And people are like, well, I can't really think of anything that people are good at. Has anybody made you smile? Has anybody with intellectual disabilities made you smile? That's something that they're good at. I knew a girl in high school when I was a peer tutor who, she was really good at math and was deaf. Like, she was deaf. She had some mental disabilities. She could do math really well, and she knew sign language. Sign language is a second language. Okay, so, like, I don't know exactly, like, where people, and like I said, I know again that she was not meaning it in a bad way. She was just saying it as like, oh, well, you know, she was trying to make a point about the Punnett squares and all this crap. But it just kind of irked me a little bit, because on a norm, that's what people think of people with mental disabilities, is that they're not intelligent. Sorry, it's gonna get really dark because there's no lights on this street, but like, that's what people think, is that people with mental disabilities have zero intelligence whatsoever. They're useless, and that is not the case at all. Do I understand where they're coming from in the sense that they feel like they shouldn't reproduce? Yes, I understand that you don't, that mental disabilities are not a good thing. I'm not saying that they are a good thing, but what I am saying is that if you have two people who love each other and are cognitively aware of what's going on, then I don't feel like you should punish them for that. I don't know, like, it's complicated. It's a very complicated thing that I don't really want to get into the depths of, but I just wanted to do that little rant. I'm home now. I'm gonna go inside, find something to eat, and go lay down in my bed. I love you guys. I hope you understand. Bye.